All right. Well, I am very confused with the new tagline of freedom that the Democrats are running around the Kamala Harris presidential ticket. The Democrats ditched the word democracy when they threw Joe Biden in the trash. Now Kamala Harris is using the tagline freedom along with a Beyonce song about freedom that I can't share with you because of copyright. Also, just this week, Bon Iver has a new song about freedom. I can't play you this either because of copyright. And I am just very confused because I have watched the Biden administration so closely as a journalist for the last 4 years. I don't think freedom is what they stand for at all. And I want to make this case because the Biden administration has never been less about freedom. And we have to peg Harris to the Biden-Harris administration. So let's go over what we think may or may not be free about her campaign and her platform.
America, pay attention. We are living in some perilous times right now. Assassination attempts, coups seeking to take over our government, cybersecurity threats, and they're just heating up right now. Obviously, we just brought you the news about President Trump and how the Supreme Court has now denied President Trump's request to delay his September sentencing. And our friends over at the Wellness Company have put together something to protect your family. It's the Contagion Emergency Kit from the Wellness Company. Now you can too protect your family. This kit is no joke, okay? When the government wants to put out an article that our government is handing $176 million to Moderna to whip up a new mRNA bird flu vaccine, they are gearing up for the next big thing. You cannot trust the establishment. You should have this in your house. Our friend Dr. Peter McCullough and his team at the Wellness Company have a contagion emergency kit that you can keep in your house, keep in your medicine cabinet, and it's just there for when you need it, okay? Planning is so important. We've ordered these for our families. It has ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, Z-Pak, Tamiflu, budesonide, which is with a nebulizer, and you can rest easy knowing you have this emergency kit in your hand along with a guidebook on how to safely use it. Every family in America needs to have it. And you'll get $30 off at checkout when you go to twc.health/redacted. That's twc.health/redacted. It's not .com, it's .health. And you have to put in that code redacted at checkout, and you'll save $30 right there at checkout, right there in the cart. So it's only available in the United States. A lot of people are asking, can they get it in England? Can they get it in other places? No, right now, just on laws with medications and all of that, the kits are only available in the United States. But go grab one right now. twc.health/redacted. Let's be very clear. You cannot separate Kamala Harris from President Biden at all. In fact, she is now using his FEC number in order to take his war chest of money. So much so that she's even using his own FEC number for her campaign. That's how interconnected they are. She cannot distance herself from the Biden campaign in any way.
Right. So, okay, one of their main selling points to you is you are free to have abortions all day, every day. She doesn't think this is a state issue. She wants to bring this back as a federal right after the Supreme Court sent it back to the states. Well, her running mate, Governor Walz, signed legislation to allow the birth control pill all the way through the 9th month of pregnancy. So there is a lot of data, though, that Democrats hide from you that shows that having abortions increases your risk of breast cancer. This is true. If you want that data, reach out to me. We've talked about it ad nauseum. So I guess we're free to get cancer too, which is awesome. Now, this sexual freedom thing that Democrats want to offer me got me thinking, because I came across this recently in Douglas Wilson's book, Mere Christendom. And this is I just want to put this out here as a provocative statement and let you think about it. He says that sexual license is the first and most obvious bribe to be offered to a slave. I feel like we could have a philosophical conversation about this until the cows come home. I'm going to save you the time of that. But I thought about this for a really long time because in exchange for this sexual freedom, they have us by the balls, so to speak. So think about that for a second. Sexual freedom is the first freedom offered to a slave. Just let me know how that hits you, because I'm not going to wax philosophical on you right now. But I thought, that's a bomb. I sat with that. I read that book last weekend and I was like, I need to think about that for a second, right?
Yeah, it's powerful.
It's kind of a powerful truth bomb, and you can play this out. Okay, I'm not going to. But let's continue. Under the Democrats, though, are you free to criticize the government? No, you are not. The Biden administration is being sued currently by many private citizens and has been sued by states as well for censoring speech during the pandemic. They are still doing it after a recent Supreme Court ruling. Governor Walz has said there is no such thing as free speech when it is free speech or speech that he doesn't condone.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
Okay. So, in fact, Governor Walz set up a hotline in Minnesota during the pandemic so that you could report your neighbor for social distancing violations.
Yeah, if you saw them like going over for Thanksgiving dinner, you were literally encouraged by the Walz administration to call and snitch on them.
Right.
This is like something out of Ukraine.
This is something out of 1984. This is Big Brother. That is not freedom. In a new campaign ad, Harris says, and I can't play you again because of the Beyonce song, she says, we choose a future where no child lives in poverty, where we can all afford health, where no one is above the law. These are the things she defines as freedom. I wonder, though, is Hunter Biden above the law? Maybe she should speak to that, or Hillary Clinton and her campaign finance problems. I can't seem to remember those high-profile Democrats being prosecuted, so I'm not sold on that promise that no one's above the law. In fact, look at this headline right here that the Justice Department has accused Hunter Biden of trying to help a corrupt Romanian client by lobbying U.S. officials during his father's vice presidency, according to new filings from the special counsel, David Weiss. That's interesting. I wonder if she's worried about that, no one being above the law. I kind of am. I'd like to see everyone prosecuted equally or, equal justice.
Yeah, or calling
of the law.
When you call Poroshenko and you say, we need this prosecutor fired in Ukraine because, well, he's frankly looking into my son's dirty dealings here. And that prosecutor ends up getting fired. Yeah. Maybe you should look into that. Is anyone above the law?
Right.
Who you work for under the Biden administration?
Tara Reid has asked many times for an investigation into her sexual abuse by Joe Biden when he was a senator and has been ignored. So I'm just so curious about this equal protection under the law, that no one's above the law. Okay. Now she talks about poverty and healthcare, and that's rich because according to the U.S. Census, poverty is up under the Biden-Harris administration. Take a look at this chart from the U.S. Census. I circled in red when the Biden-Harris administration took power. Now, arguably, this is trending upwards under the Trump administration, so we need to look at that data. But if she's promising to end poverty, those trajectories went in the wrong direction, and it's even worse for children. Take a look at this next chart. Child poverty has doubled. So in 2021, solid Biden-Harris time, child poverty was 5.2%, 12.4% in the next year since they took office. Maybe, girl, you don't want to talk about promising freedom from child poverty when you've doubled it in the first year of your administration. What about freedom to oppose foreign wars? Definitely not. She showed us that at a rally in Detroit this week when she shouted down protesters to the war in Gaza. Someone shouted about war and genocide in Gaza, and here was her response.
You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that. Otherwise, I'm speaking.
Ooh, she's staring you down.
Yeah, are you going to sit down? Are you going to sit down while I strut my stuff?
Okay. In other words, don't even try your pro-peace shit at our rally. We will not have it. I really like this take from Caitlin Johnstone. Normal person, genocide is bad. Crazy person, do you want Trump to win? This, you guys, is how they normalize death by using their handy boogeyman, right? So we know she's pro-war. She basically dragged us into the war in Ukraine. She lies about the war in Ukraine ever since. She was the first, I want to say she was the first liar of the war in Ukraine in early 2022 when she was sent as an envoy to stop it. That was a sham trip. Okay. What about freedom to own a gun as a law-abiding citizen? No, she supported banning assault weapons. She said she would do that as an executive order, and she favors confiscating weapons like they did in Australia. She has said that. What about freedom to stop your child from taking dangerous drugs and surgeries if they're caught in the social contagion of gender dysphoria? No. She and Tim Walz have said that that is conversion therapy, meaning your kid is trans no matter what you think. And if you say that you want them not to have these dangerous drugs and surgery, you are trying to convert them to their birth gender. She thinks everyone should get a sex change if they want to, even prisoners on taxpayer dollars.
When I was Attorney General, I learned that the California Department of Corrections, which was a client of mine, I didn't get to choose my clients.
Right, a client of the Attorney General.
A client of the Attorney General, right, of the Office of Attorney General, that they were standing in the way of surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. And there was a specific case. And when I learned about the case, I worked behind the scenes to not only make sure that that transgender woman got the services she was deserving. So it wasn't only about that case. I made sure that they changed the policy in the state of California so that every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access to the medical care that they desired and need. And I believe it was not only, I know it was historic in California, but I believe actually it may have been one of the first, if not the first in the country, where I pushed for that policy in a Department of Corrections.
Okay, prisoners deserve cosmetic surgery. They deserve it. You, as a taxpayer, do not have the right to oppose that. You definitely don't have the right to not pay for it. Speaking of taxes, if she is elected, she will lobby for higher taxes to support her warring agenda. The Biden-Harris administration is not only being stopped from increasing taxes because of a divided Congress, but she also wants to lower the threshold to reporting taxes to $600. And she has said that she wants those IRS agents to be monitoring Venmo and PayPal to make sure that you make no transaction not taxed. Absolutely, she will lobby for more taxes. It's only up to us if we have a divided Congress that would stop her. Now, again, this is not an endorsement of Trump. This segment has nothing to do with Trump, but as someone who has voted Democrat before and missed out on how much the Democratic war is the party of war, and how other countries, they want to war on other countries for profit. They support perverts, in my opinion, and they cause poverty. I will not fall for this again. So this tagline of freedom is not working on me because I've been watching what they've been up to for their administration. So when she says freedom, I read that as a vote for her is a vote for her freedom to take away your freedom. But if you are swallowing this, if you are motivated by this freedom tagline and you think that she's offering you freedom, tell me what I've missed. I want to know, what do you think that you're going to get freedom that you don't have now that she's not going to take away? I'm very curious. So let me know what you think of that and that tagline and if you're buying it.
So the brilliance of that is that you, and by the way, great job on that. I think it's the brilliance of language, right? So she can wrap herself in this language of freedom.
Yeah.
And then suddenly she's the candidate of freedom,
yeah.
And then Trump can't use the language of freedom because Kamala's already started using this slogan and this tagline.
Sure.
Right? And it's the brilliance of using it that really kind of, and then if you speak out against it, then you're anti-freedom. Now, wait a minute, you're going to speak out against Kamala Harris? You're anti-freedom?
Right. But I will say this, the Democrats were hurting in the brilliance of MAGA because MAGA really riles people up. It means a lot to them. It's a good slogan. It's been, it's been working for them for the past 8 years. So they need something. This is what they think they've got. I'm just very confused by it because they stand for the opposite to my mind.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it'll stick. Again, great point. Let us know, what freedom is she offering? What freedom of the Biden-Harris campaign offering other than like the freedom of open borders, the freedom to get abortions every week? I mean, what other freedoms do you have?
Yeah, you can get lots of STDs, and she thinks that that's freedom.
Yeah.
You can have lots of abortions, and she thinks that that's freedom. So you can cut off your boobs, and your kids can do that too. So I'm just curious.
You can pay for inmates to get their balls balls and cut off as well if you want.
Yeah.
So.
Does this sound like a free society? I'm just curious. What have I missed that you think she's offering that you don't have? Just let me know.